Hi, beautiful souls. I wanted to share what's been happening with me in the hopes that it helps you. And what we are at this moment, or I am, and people that resonate, because we're all different and we all have our own schedule, we all have our own progression through this evolutionary path. But if you're drawn to watch my videos, then maybe this will resonate with you too. So we are facing some of the deepest wounds at the moment. And I wanted to sort of explain two moments in my life which show that this is coming from a very deep place. This emotional issue, it's a deep, deep wound that is coming up from time to time, sifting up, coming up from that sediment. So at the end of the last year, I was watching a video on YouTube, and it was another spiritual healer, spiritual teacher. And she was explaining something to me or to the audience. And I'm listening and I'm saying, yeah, that makes complete sense. That resonates. I understand what she is saying. And I allowed in the knowledge that she was imparting. So the video finished and I thought, I'm going to go for a walk. And without really thinking about the video, I started to walk down the path through the park, and up came from nowhere this incredible grief, this incredibly heavy emotion. And I began to cry out of nowhere. And the thoughts that I understood as I began to cry what it was. And I was doubled over in grief. And it's one of those intense emotional outbursts that we can all go through from time to time. And it was in a way related to what I believe is that deepest wound that I'm talking about, because it happened again about 2 days ago and another layer came up. And for me, my deepest wound is being abandoned. My deepest wound is around being disconnected from God, wanting assistance from God. And again, this goes back to childhood, like very sad things happened to me when I was a child, and being raised a Catholic, I was told to pray to God to ask for help and things, and help never came. And I remember as a child going, please, 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 and nothing ever changing. So in this life, that wound was still there and still within my energy, and an experience that I was set up for me to once again attempt to heal this. And I would suspect it comes from other lifetimes where, for example, you were a spiritual person or a person with a deep connection to the world, to nature and everything, and then maybe being burnt at the stake or being sacrificed and wondering where that loving God was and why you were in this predicament if God is love. So God was not there. Now, I also suspect it goes back even further to the gods that were in this realm many moons ago. And when they ultimately left and we were alone. So it actually, this being abandoned by God or disconnected from God, I think is in a way in a lot of us. In bitike shtuko oshe si anye kuke shuta atse kikeka. And when I was in that grief, walking through the park, I heard in my head that we want the same thing. So when I want something or want to create something, the deeper aspect of me wants it as well. It felt like at that stage that the deeper aspect of me didn't want me to have X, Y, and Z, and ideally wanted it. And the video made me contemplate who was really creating what we desire and need. You know, the phrase, you might not get what you want, but you'll get what you need. And I was struggling with that concept back then. And what I realized is that my logical, rational head, my adult self, was listening to that video, and it made complete sense, and it resonated, and it was sensible, and a practical viewpoint of this realm and how we navigate it. But who cried was the little girl. Who cried was the part of me that was wounded because of this reality of not being helped or not being heard in when I would cry out as a child, or maybe cry out in another reality, in another lifetime. So it took me by surprise, the depth of the emotion that arose. And the same thing happened a couple of days ago. In the middle of the night, I was awake, so I watched this video, and it was a very interesting, uplifting video. And I thought, oh, wow, yeah, that's potential, that's something to contemplate, to think about. So I actually fell back asleep. And then when I woke up, I got up and I got in my car to drive and go and get coffee. And just out of nowhere came rage and anger. And I know that it's organized within me, that if I had screamed to the degree that I screamed in that car here, where I am, people would have been calling the police. It's quite funny reflecting upon it, but I could break glass with that scream. And it was rage, intense rage against, again, disconnection from God, disconnection from feeling I wasn't heard or seen. And from this aspect, I know that is not the truth. I know that I am surrounded by supportive beings, that there's a deeper aspect of me that has a big picture level viewpoint of all of this realm and every single incarnation I've been in. And when I went to sleep, I was happy. When I dozed back off, I was happy. I was contemplating what these videos were suggesting and everything. And there was nothing specifically in it that I thought would trigger this reaction. So when I get in the car, I am just screaming at God, screaming at this universe, at this predicament we're in. And again, it's coming from the inner child. Something in that video triggered her. Something in that video triggered a deeply held wound that isn't immediately obvious in our day-to-day getting around. And I suppose I'm sharing this to say, be gentle, be kind to yourself when this stuff comes up. Understand it is the next layer. Understand these are wounds that we have carried lifetime after lifetime as that sediment on the pond that we may never stir up because it's huge. And we may set up a lifetime where we deliberately don't stir it up, that we have a lighter life or a more happy life. And maybe that's why we can see people around us who seem to be in the flow, seem to be having a less stressful life than we are. So if these emotions come up out of the blue, if you have a look at my tarot reading for April, this is something that I talk about. What is the blue? The blue is, for me, that higher frequency beyond 3D. It's 5D and beyond that, higher and higher. I've always seen that electric blue as that higher frequency. Much higher than this. I mean, if we're looking at the electromagnetic spectrum, we are in visible light and lower in the visible light spectrum. And where we're moving to is higher than visible light, ultraviolet blue, X-ray, and gamma. And so I think of the blue as beyond it. The blue is beyond polarity. So ride the wave of the emotion as best you can with the observer, understanding the sediment at the bottom of the pond. And if you get caught up with it, which I did, be gentle with yourself afterwards and understand as you're going through it that these things in the sediment have to come and be resolved, have to be released, have to be seen and understood. And if you fight it or judge it or push it down or whatever, it will prolong the healing. So just do the best you can. Again, you have a lot of support, even if you may not feel it. And that who you are isn't just this avatar with all of the things and issues that we are trying to understand and let go of and resolve, that we are a greater mind. We are the I am presence. And for us to move out of this realm, to transmute this realm. So when I say move out, I mean shift our frequency so that we are no longer a match for 3D issues and become a match for whatever it is to exist at 5D. I don't think we can truly understand it yet. It is a concept that we are reaching for, a concept we're trying to embody and have an intent on embodying. And there's a part of us, a deeper aspect of us, the I am presence, that knows fully what we're doing, how we're doing it, and where our frequency is shifting to. Ijetse umbetikika, shunia pua seka unge chetsa, zike zeki apa pa 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 pa, jendiatsaka ushetse indiatsaka, ejeze sukoyocho. So many, many blessings, beautiful souls. If you're going through this, all is well. Much love. Bye-bye.